guest today. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the call today. It's Thursday, and we normally have a faith-based call today. Today we do have a special guest, though, that we are definitely excited to have on today, Adam Pollins, whose clients are clients that have wealth over $5 million. He actually was one of the founding senior advisors for Fidelity, where he grew and managed a large advisory practice across complex client portfolios. He began his career with Teach for America and brings a multidisciplinary background in science, education, finance to his approach to market strategy and long-term value creation. He is working with these affluent individuals and business owners using advanced planning technology and creative investment strategy, and he focuses on helping clients make smarter capital decisions through integrated wealth management and modern financial platforms. So it's exciting to have Adam. We just spent some time with him, and we had an incredible opportunity to really discuss finances and matters, and I think you're going to see immediately what a wealth of knowledge he is. We're excited to have him on the call, and we're going to offer a 5-star for anybody that might have questions as he gets going. Adam Pollins, welcome to the call this morning.
Thank you, Patty. Happy to be here and happy to handle any area in the financial discussion that I can.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, it's odd when you find a financial planner that understands crypto and the crypto markets. And I know, go ahead and tell everybody how fired up you are about what's going on with our rally program.
Absolutely. Well, being a traditional financial advisor, a lot of advisors hear the term crypto or blockchain, and they're really told to give the client the Heisman. Hey, stay away from that. It's not regulated. It's not something that you want to be a part of. When in reality, when you get to the source of that information, it's these financial companies realizing that when clients have access to crypto, everyone in the world becomes bankable without the need for an intermediary. Patty, I can send money between me and you in a wallet instantaneously, and I don't need to pay some bank or financial institution money to move it around. So it's a giant threat to the traditional system. And when it comes to a project like Rally, it really serves as a foundation where not only can we communicate on a decentralized network, we can also get rewarded for doing so. And those rewards flow into this crypto market that there's a lot of money in there. You know, we can't discount the idea that Bitcoin hit $126,000 a coin. And so really, we're kind of pioneering this transition out of the traditional wealth landscape into the future of wealth, which is going to be utilizing blockchain technology. So I'm very excited, and I would say if you've got a financial advisor relationship that's really not being curious about what's going on, then it might be worth tuning into something like this to learn a little bit more. So I'm definitely excited.
Yeah, no kidding. It's very exciting to hear because it's odd. Right now, most people's financial planners have no clue how crypto works, and like you just said, they're steering people away from it altogether, but we can't deny what's happening.
Mm-hmm. So, Adam, good morning. It's Herb.
Good morning, Herb.
Adam, why don't you tell everybody about your introduction to not only the blockchain space, but how you reacted to it, what were your initial thoughts, and then how, where you became introduced to Rally and what you saw happening with that project?
Absolutely. So starting with the traditional landscape, I do complex planning. So I started my career in the traditional route, moved up, went out to D.C., worked on our private client team, built plans for politicians, government officials. Even at that time, you'd be amazed how many of our congressmen and women and senators really have no understanding of what blockchain and crypto technology truly are. That then led me into the traditional practice where I managed over $1 billion. And even Fidelity, being the pioneer and launching Fidelity Digital Assets, really was just focused on Bitcoin and Ethereum. And what I realized was that when you have the World Economic Forum talking about $867 trillion in traditional business revenue getting disrupted by blockchain technology, that kind of sends some alarms because the U.S. GDP is only $28 trillion. And so I think the traditional market space is realizing that there is a wave coming and certain companies are going to be prepared and certain are not. And so to answer your question, Herb, in the beginning, it started with this idea that when you've got traditional companies, let's use Salesforce as an example, multi-billion-dollar company. And when you think that a company like Salesforce that offers traditional CRM platforms for millions of dollars, I can use AI and go to Airtable and build a CRM for my business instantaneously, more customizable for free. So there are companies in the U.S. that are very well adopted for this AI revolution and some that are not. And so there's this giant wave of technology coming that I think we need to be cognizant of. Second, when you think of blockchain technology and crypto, the whole world becomes bankable. The whole world can start receiving funding. Countries that you wouldn't even dare send a wire into, you can actually fund and build businesses on the blockchain because there's now this immutable ledger that can be utilized to track the money, to make sure that it's done legally and fair. And that's a big, big thing that's coming because now we can invest in the world. And then third, my introduction to this particular project, I think when I hear Tony Swantek, who's kind of spearheaded Rally and R-Link, when he talks about, we've kind of succumbed to the idea that we're being listened to and all of our data is being bundled up and sold to the highest bidder. When we think about utilizing blockchain technology and being able to communicate on a decentralized node network where we can get rewarded for doing so, we think about, wow, that is a technology that is going to be a disruptor. And to end with this, Herb, traditionally, if you had a good idea, you would get funding, you would take it through the traditional route. You'd go venture capital, private equity, investment banking, you'd launch an IPO on the open market and start selling shares. And the price of your shares would be determined by whether or not you hit your earnings report on a quarterly basis. And so I think that normal traditional route is being upended by the crypto route per se, where we have this great idea to utilize blockchain technology and all of the revenue from this project, which people are loyal to, and we're in beta doing millions of dollars of revenue, all of that revenue is going to flow into our Rally token, which can be offered on the open market for outside investors to say, hey, Rally token trading at 10 cents, that's not just based off speculation. That's based off the amount of revenue that R-Link is doing. And so my excitement to this is with this whole wave of AI and being well positioned for this technological wave that's coming, and this whole wave towards utilizing blockchain technology, we're offering real world revenue and an opportunity to take part in the upside of that and taking advantage of a cryptocurrency space where the whole globe can utilize its technology and get access to our projects. Someone from Indonesia is not readily available to invest in Zoom stock, but someone from Indonesia is readily available to purchase Rally token and be a part of our project. So we're opening up the globe to influence in what we're looking to accomplish. So it's very exciting. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, that's
it definitely
so
does.
exciting.
You know, also about 40 years ago, we read a very intriguing book written by Dr. Ken Dykewald called The Age Wave, and he chronicled the progression of the baby boomers and their impact on markets in society. You had an interesting perspective as to how these generational groups, how they're taking to cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Can you just kind of give people a surface view of what you see transitioning within the industry of that? And everybody listening, if you have questions for Adam after he's finished, we'll open it up for questions. You'll just have to press 5-star to ask a question, and you can direct it at Adam, and I'm sure he'll answer that. But Adam, that was kind of fascinating when you went through that with me to chronicle
Absolutely.
or to depict, the understanding of both cryptocurrency and blockchain technology amongst the generational groups. So can you kind of hit on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So baby boomers are projected to transfer about $84 trillion in wealth by 2030. And so, those baby boomers, a lot of stocks and a lot of traditional bonds. But if we think of the next generations that are following them, baby boomers to Gen X, to millennials, to Gen Z, there's a very different story when it comes to what Generation X, millennials, and Gen Z are invested in. So if we were to look specifically at crypto, Gen X, or baby boomers have less than 1% exposure, as you can imagine. But Gen X, it jumps to 6%, millennials 17%, and Gen Z 18%. And so as an advisor, Herb, when I think about working with an older client and transitioning those assets to their heirs who are much younger, those younger heirs want crypto exposure. They see this wave of technology coming. They see the fact that $2, $3, $4 trillion have flooded into the crypto space, and they want to be a part of that. And what's really interesting, to use this example, if I've got a younger client who's got a $10 million portfolio and they're a millennial and they want 20% in crypto, well, I cannot just take their $2 million and put half in Bitcoin and half in Ethereum and say, hey, you're diversified. No, there is a need for more coins that are going to add value. And that enters in this idea as there's $84 trillion in wealth coming, going into hands of individuals who want a much higher exposure to crypto. We're expecting a lot more money to be coming into the crypto market. Now, the current crypto market is in a little bit of a pullback, as usual, right around $2.5 trillion. What's interesting is we expect, based on this wave of inherited assets, that the crypto market is going to quadruple or quintuple in the next 4 to 5 years based off this transition. So when I start crunching the numbers and doing some math, before I do that, and I'll share some good numbers here, being a part of these large advisory firms, we're already starting to position a focus on looking for altcoins that we can use to diversify a portfolio. So if I have to take that $2 million and say, hey, you know what, maybe we'll do 40% in Bitcoin, maybe we'll do 30% in Ethereum, but that final 30%, the only other main options out there are like XRP, Solana. I mean, I can't justify as an advisor to buy Dogecoin or Fartcoin for a client just because that has the highest market cap. But if there was something like Rallycoin, where I could say, hey, we're buying this into your portfolio to utilize the cryptocurrency bucket. However, this has real world revenue. This has a justified price and this has a game plan for bringing on millions of users, that's why we've made that investment into that for diversification. What's interesting, though, Herb, is when you think of something like Rally that has 50 billion tokens, right now the alt space is about 725 billion, given the pullback. If Rally takes 1% of that market, you're looking at 15 cents a coin, 5%, 75 cents, 10%, $1.50. So for that altcoin market, even in the major pullback that we've experienced, even getting a small sliver of justification really leads to upside potential by being a part of this community as early as we are. But if you look a couple years down the road and you say, hey, there's a lot of money coming into crypto, let's prepare this. It's getting global. Blockchain technology is getting recognized and utilized. Even the World Economic Forum talks about it being over 1.3 quadrillion in business revenue disruption. Well, if we're expected 5 trillion in the alt space, well, 1% of that is $1 a coin for Rally, 5% $5, and 10% $10. I'll tell you what, we would have a lot of very happy community members if Rally hits 5% of the future alt market, which I think it is very well positioned, because the amount of amazing leaders and people behind this project, there is a lot of upside potential by being a pioneer at this time. And this reverts back to, if your financial advisor is not open and curious as to this major wave that's coming, then thank you, Patty and Herb, for putting us in touch with this community, because we really need to start learning about this, because we're early, we're well positioned, and there's a lot of reward for people who are in this space that take action. And so I'm excited for that.
Absolutely. And, for those, because we have a variety of people that join us on these calls, and we want to make sure, just altcoin is a simple definition is any crypto that's not Bitcoin. And why are they called altcoins? They're considered alternatives, hence the name altcoins, like Adam referenced Ethereum, Solana, XRP, Dogecoin, Litecoin, whatever. All of these are different types of altcoins. And for new people, stable coins, as we know, are USDT or Tether or USDC. And there's a lot of differences. You can look this up and become more knowledgeable. But we do communicate on these calls, Adam, with a wide variety of levels of knowledge in this space. And we're just getting started out. So I like to clarify where I can. Any questions?
Beautiful.
5-star. It's simple. It seems simple, but it's really, I'm the type that if we were speaking there, when we were together in West Palm just the other day, and I forget what it was you said, and I was like, what's that mean? I'm the curious one that's going to ask the question. I'm not prideful whatsoever. So I want everybody to be that way. So 5-star does raise your hand if you have something. We have 10 minutes left. Don't wait until 10:29 to raise your hand if you have a question for Adam. He is in his mid-30s, but he has done more than people in a lifetime in the space of finances. So I say that because he's young, he's bright, he is unbelievably knowledgeable in a lot of different areas, but in particularly finance. And what we really need, I'm going to say the word need, I don't usually use that in this capacity, but in this capacity, it's a definite must. We need that in the financial markets because it's coming. And if you're in the generation that is bringing it to your children or people, I get this all the time. I don't know anything about this. I had somebody send me all of her words and everything and said, and I'm going to manage it for her, but this is just, she's like, I don't know why you care so much, because I'm calling her. She's put money into quite a few when she purchased a lot of different nodes, and she's got the R-Link nodes, and I was telling her about what was just recently happening, that we can purchase more nodes with our native tokens, et cetera. And she just sends me all of it. She doesn't have time. And I'm thinking and I get it, she's got a big business she runs and all of that, but I'm thinking that what a blessing it would be for our children to start to educate them. And sometimes they don't take it from us as well. They might take it from somebody else. Perfect example is one of our own daughters that really was, we had an opportunity. We spent time with Adam and his girlfriend Jade, with myself and my daughter, who, they kind of hear us all the time. They might think we're selling things. I don't know what they think sometimes. But the truth is they didn't fully understand this space. But when she met with Adam on her own down in West Palm, before we even got there, what a change. I mean, she was waking me up in the night. She's waking me up early the next morning. She's all fired up, Adam. So what are some of the things that you told her that maybe you could help this community who's now working with people who, I don't know what you told her, maybe it was how you told her, but I don't know if you have anything that you could share with this community who's now working with not only their own children, but even people, just everybody seems to have a resistance to this. So I know you come with all this knowledge, but if you could.
Patty, it's funny. I've been around golf my entire life, and if you're trying to teach your partner golf, they will not listen. They give you the Heisman, and it comes back to this methodology of peak, pass, and plug. You need to pique their interest. You need to pass them some information, and then you just need to plug them into someone else. I don't think I said anything different than what you and Herb said, but because it's not you and it's someone else, now they've heard it twice, and now they can feel more confident that that's something they should be a part of. I do also think, too, that there is a part of meeting someone where they are and taking them where you want them to go. And whether it's the excitement behind crypto, whether it's the excitement behind blockchain, whether it's the excitement behind communicating on a decentralized platform, or whether it's the excitement of building a community where products and services flow, I think can really help someone attached to this project that we're building. Because, Patty, what I've found is that even myself, has maybe a head start on the crypto space or the blockchain space and what I do for a living, even I felt like I was drinking from a fire hose. But there was something there that piqued my interest, that every day that I learned more, it eventually was like more excitement being spoon-fed to me. Because it's kind of like getting red-pilled. Once you see what's coming, you can't unsee it. And so I don't think there's a magic secret or anything in particular, but sometimes it takes 4 to 5 exposures from different people in order for someone to go from idle to action. And that's, I think, the biggest part is what we're doing, we're early. This is not common. Asking someone if they understand blockchain technology and just saying simply to them, hey, all I know is that some of the smartest people in this space are excited about this project. I'd love to send you some information and get you in touch with an individual who can talk a little bit more about it and removing yourself from the process.
Exactly.
It is a very, very difficult thing. Yeah,
that's interesting because when we were together and I asked you that question, I said, and that's exactly why the 3-way call is so powerful. In addition, guys, to what Adam has said, of course, we can say, and this project did over $100 million in the past 4 days. So this is an unheard of feat that's happening here with, Rlink. And the thing about Rlink is it's real world utility as we flywheel these tokens. Let's go over to Joe in Florida with a question for Adam. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for doing this call. With your expertise, opinion, depth of knowledge, what is your take on this Clarity Act? Because I have a couple of people I've talked to, and they're asking me, and I have no answer for government intervention, government restrictions. For me as an IT guy, I was like, you can just get a VPN and, do whatever you want to do, transactions from another part of the globe because of VPN, masking your location, stuff like that. But when they ask me about what do you think the government's going to do, because, not do, the implications with government intervention in the U.S. or whatever country. So like the switch card isn't available in certain states because of restrictions and whatever hoops. So that's one of the questions I have.
Yeah, it's a great question. And being in D.C., I was in D.C. 2016 through 2019. And so that was, it was all foreign knowledge. But the question is a great question, Joe. Governments like restricting leverage at 30x, I would say wouldn't necessarily hurt the advancement of our project per se. I think if anything, it would help protect other pump and dump coins. And that's really what they're trying to do there. Like even in the traditional financial space, banks have 10x leverage, right? They only need, if they have $1 million on their balance sheet, they can leverage out 900,000 of that. Yeah, and so when I think about that question and where it's coming, I'd say number one, I don't think it's particularly a detractor to what we're doing. I think if anything, it's going to help because it's going to remove focus from those pump and dump coins. Secondly, I think we are in, politics aside, we are in a very pro-crypto administration that sees the value, that sees the potential in blockchain technology. And if you think from now until January of 2029, that we're going to be navigating this and building this through an administration that would serve more as a partner than sort of an obstacle, I think by the time January of 2029 does come around, we would have made some significant headway to where we'll get things set up and launched. So a phenomenal question. I don't have an answer to that. I think if anything, it could be helpful for us. But I don't think it'll limit our upside in any way, shape, or form, if that helps answer your question, Joe.
Yes, thank you very much.
And just so everybody's clear, you can chat GPT things, the Clarity Act, because I never even heard of it before. Joe just asked, is the U.S. digital asset market legislation. It's a proposed U.S. federal bill called the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act of 2025, aimed at creating a clear regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies and digital assets. So it's supposedly there to remove regulatory uncertainty by defining which government agencies oversee which digital assets, especially between the SEC and the FTC, and it goes on. So you can look things up as you hear them just to become knowledgeable. I do that. I think this is a space where we're constantly learning, and I want to encourage everybody to do that. Now, I just glanced at the clock, Herbie, or do you have anything else for Adam? Or Adam, we'll have you just close with some comments.
Yeah, no, I'd appreciation of your time, Adam. You're a wealth of knowledge, and it's always enjoyable having a conversation with you. And I'm glad we had an opportunity to share it with the rest of the people in this community. These are This is a very impactful group of people listening right now, and this message actually goes out to literally thousands of people that will hear it on the replay and stuff like that. So it's all good content, and we're all at a place where we're coming to a greater understanding of the space and what we're doing. But I got to tell you, we're off the wall excited. You know, many of these people have never. I've told some people that, excuse me, that for years we've been playing so small, and now all of a sudden your thought process has to get a lot bigger. And to comprehend a lot bigger of a thought process or space, it can get people overwhelmed and excited, but we're seeing the right trends going on with the project and the growth of the project. So we're all fired up and happy and excited about it. So, again, thank you for your time. Go ahead, Patty.
I just want to also add, just for people listening, that Adam is also not only is excited about what we're doing, he's one of the top, and you guys know we can see it, so he's one of the top salespeople in the world with what we're doing with Rally. So he speaks from knowledge. He got his knowledge, gained it, learned, and took massive action, and is benefiting from that too, just like the rest of us as a community leader. So Adam, if you have any closing comments, statements, then we'll call the call.
Yeah, what's funny is that even my close family and friends don't want to hear about it from me. So it even speaks more powerfully to the idea of I need to pique their interest and then remove myself from the operation because I can't be the one to do it all. And so I'll leave you with this. It's all about learning 1% more each day. And because we're drinking from a fire hose, even for some of the individuals on this call who might not be as technologically savvy, download ChatGPT as an example, put in your questions, and even for myself, I'll say, hey, explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. And I'll just start learning a little bit every single day. I love the fact that you brought in that information, Patty, about just simplifying it and making it easy. So other than that, I appreciate the opportunity to pique some interest and to show some excitement about what's coming. The traditional financial landscape is changing. You're ahead of that change. Now it's time to learn, take action, and be a part of this community because we're headed in a great direction. So thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, thank you so much for being on. We're excited to meet again with you next week. I believe we'll be getting together, so that's awesome. Guys, this was an amazing call, and what you just said, Adam, is true. I think that's been part of our success is to keep things as simple as possible, not wait until we know everything, but learn with the team. And I think people appreciate the transparency there as well. So, and we appreciate you so much for being here today, Adam. Thank you for your time. God bless you. Team, let's go ahead and ask ourselves, who can I help today? God bless everybody.